Currently, there are almost 18,000 blind learners in South African schools. Advocacy group BlindSA will today hand over a memorandum to the Department of Basic Education. Well, BlindSA believes the rights of blind children in schools are being ignored. Well, to explain to us about all of this, we joined from our Pretoria studio this morning by the CEO, the Chief Executive of BlindSA, Mr. Jace Nair. Mr. Nair, good morning, and thank you very much for your time and patience this morning. Can you just explain to us, why do you believe that the rights of blind children are being ignored?
Thank you very much, Dan, for the opportunity. BlindSA has been advocating and having discussions with the Department of Education nationally and in the provinces now for decades. Firstly, there is very little or no programs for early childhood development programs for blind and partially sighted children. The program that our schools for the blind in the country, the 22 schools for the blind in the country, our children do not have access to textbooks in Braille. They do not have sufficient Braille writing machines. The infrastructure at these schools are dilapidated to the extent that at the Prince of School for the Blind in Pretoria, the Department of Labour has issued 2 prohibition notices. One, because the school does not have a certificate of compliance for electricity, and 2, that the staircase to 2 upper floors to 38 classrooms has been declared unsafe. And the department has just ignored attempts by the school and BlindSA to try and remedy the situation.
Now, you've said you've been engaging with them. What are the reasons the department has been giving you to date about why they are not doing anything or responding to your concerns?
We believe that there is a lack of political will. The officials in the department have made several commitments, but they've not been able to fulfill those commitments or promises, thereby making it very difficult for blind and partially sighted learners in South Africa to manage. And our concern is that we support inclusive education, but if the Department of Education is unable to support blind learners at the 22 special schools they have in the country, how will they cope with the thousands of children who are not at school, who should be at school, at mainstream? So we are saying that the subsidies that the department provides to the school has not been revised in the last 5 years. For instance, on average, schools get between 23 Rand and 37 Rand a day to provide 3 meals and teas a day for children and their care. And this is an impossible task for schools to manage. Yet they have to, because the children have no other way to go. The department has been lax in its approach to making sure that the settlement agreement that was reached as a court order in April last year has still not been fully implemented. The children at schools do not have access to textbooks in Braille in African languages. And how do we expect these children to then cope under these kind of situations at our schools? So we've taken the issue up with the MEC of Education in Gauteng. Similarly, we have a situation in Limpopo with the Ravoni School for the Blind. The school is in an absolutely deplorable state. The hostels were burnt in August last year. The department has been promising for the last 10 years to build a school for blind children in Ravoni. Yet, right next to Ravoni, they built a multi-million rand school for other children. So it seems that the education of blind children are not taken seriously by these actions.
Okay, thank you, Sir Jace Nair. We wish you well in your engagement. That's the Chief Executive Officer of BlindSA. Not a good state of affairs, handing over a memorandum today about the lack of action by the Department of Basic Education, despite even a court order that was issued last year. BlindSA believes very strongly, as he was outlining, that the rights of blind children in our schools, blind learners in our schools, are being largely ignored by the Department of Basic Education.